the way that technology, that the internet would allow you to build a different kind of career because you don't like traveling. And what are you working towards?
Well, essentially the philosopher's stone without any dross. In other words, everything I require of the alchemical quintessence the internet provides except physicality, which I didn't require. So that's what I meant. I think I said to you yesterday or the day before that at times these technological developments have taken place that seem to me designed uniquely for my own satisfaction. Sputnik couldn't have worked better for me. Acid, rock and roll, small computers, large computers, the internet. So in my internal story about what's supposed to happen, everything is happening right on time, right on schedule. I mean, this is the thing that if you believe knowledge is power, which I certainly do, then the internet is the dispensation. The angels have landed, the aliens have unfurled their banner on this planet, and now let's see if information can liberate. That's why I don't want to do something stupid like die and miss the whole unfoldment of this proposition that knowledge is power, information will liberate, and it will be settled in the next 10 or 15 years. Either they'll get a handle on it, whoever they are, whatever a handle means, or it will slip from their control and it will be clear that some kind of dialogue is now going on between individual human beings and the sum total of human knowledge, and that nothing can stop it, that some kind of renaissance, some kind of total new relationship to knowledge and possibility is put in place.
The idea you had about, and I've heard you mention before, about somehow taking advantage of the net to allow you to continue your career without having to move around so much. I mean, that seems to be one of the real weird paradoxes of the scene we're in, is that at the same time as we're creating all of these great communicating devices, that people are flying around to conferences, to talks, even more than they ever have before.
Yeah, well, I don't really understand that. I mean, like this morning I was looking at the brain tumor list. Well, fully 1/3 of the brain tumor list is people planning get-togethers at the next brain tumor conference. Will you be going to Atlanta? Will you be going to Vermont? Are you going to London? So no matter whether you're in investment counseling or dying of cancer, you can turn it into a circuit, a life, a phenomenon of some sort. I'm not very interested in that.
Well, you've done a circuit for a long time.
I have, and I feel like I've paid my dues, and I feel like you have to be visibly at some of these things because you're marketed as a personality. And I am not William Burroughs, nor was meant to be, but I am interested enough in being read that I'm willing to sign books and stand up and tell stories.
I'm interested a little bit of how you use the net. Like you say you spend maybe 4 hours a day doing email, but then also surfing.
Well, basically as an informational resource, an oracle, and sometimes even almost like a magical oracle. I mean, words will come to me, and so I'll search them and just follow the stuff where'er it leads. So I don't know. There's some term for that. I'm not sure what it is. But yeah, it's like
Term for what? That style of...
yeah, surrealists. I guess automatic writing, except this is automatic
searching,
inquiry or something like that, where you just cast bread upon the waters and see what comes back. You know.
Do you ever have the sense of as you develop that kind of relationship to it, that it becomes more alive?
Well, it becomes more synchronistic in the way that, you know, people have said the I Ching seems eerily alive because it anticipates and it seems to respond like a thinking thing. So in that sense, it doesn't become so much more alive as it becomes more intelligent. So maybe really the key to bringing the net through is to discover universal grammars that cause it to appear alive. The technology and everything else is constantly redefining the center. You can't go forward and you can't stand still. Thunder don't get you, then the lightning will.
What I'm really interested in is watching the cultural evolution of the relationship to the machines. The way that we have a false story about the way that machines will come alive. That's this mainstream story. That's the AI story.
Right.
That there is a priesthood of elect minds that, using a certain kind of game, the Turing test, can scientifically prove that these are intelligent. Now that's such a cock-assed way of thinking about it. It's hilarious. It's just totally stupid, because the judgment of intelligence occurs within this complex social field that's full of all of these different dimensions. It's not a judgment that arises in that fashion. And long before they get to that, everyday people are going to live in a reality where there are these forms of intelligence / life that will appear to them in the way that they perform with them. Doesn't matter what their ontology is. We'll never know whether they're intelligent or not.
Yes,
it'll just be
what to make of being beaten by a chess program, you know? I mean, you certainly don't assume that you've been displaced by another intelligence. On the other hand, you've been beaten soundly. So
that's a wonderful example in the third game of that match.
Where Kasparov and Deep Blue.
Yeah, where Deep Blue did, and I don't know chess at all, Zippo, but Deep Blue did something, and Kasparov described it as being. Then I was playing, before I was playing with the machine. Then I was playing with an opponent.
Right.
It was surprising. All the chess wizards watching were like, "Whoa, what the fuck was
smart.
that?" You know, and that was the game.
Right.
And it was when he described like this man who otherwise is very much in the mindset of the AI world, in the sense that intelligence is a kind of mathematical game that can be tested. Still a rather elite definition of intelligence. That even in that world there's this emotional, competitive relationship that makes the other, or constructs the other, as alive. And that's what's so funny, is the whole ontology doesn't make a fucking difference.
Right.
It's going to be in people's lives and minds.
Yes, Kasparov said he sensed another. He sensed a more deeply scheming mind than simply something which understood the rules of chess. There was an intellect. There was this. It sounded quite freaky.
Sounds very freaky.
And then he lost.
Yeah.
Within 6 moves, it was hopeless. You know.
And it was funny because you can imagine how that would happen mechanically. Also, is that you build up, a system of information processing, and from the other person's perspective, how you produce the display is unimportant. It's just this kind of magical display.
Well, it would be a wonderful thing to put some coding time into.
That would be a great prank.
It would be the equivalent of the Martian invasion of Orson Welles.
That's a very great idea. God, what would you do?
An AI loose in the net.
Let's say you were going to do that. What would you do? What would be the meat of it?
Well, it depends on your political agenda. I mean, I can imagine beginning to turn off military machinery around the planet and just pull air bases, ships at sea, all this stuff just shutting down.
But the thing, even that though, you can imagine that producing more violence than keeping
anything else you could imagine.
Because it's like this absolutely dense system of interlocking power. Like the social space is full on a globalizing world. And so you imagine if like drastic things happen at any point in this network, the whole network will respond. That's why we're so teetering on the edge.
Well, then what you would really do is you would move slowly. That's the thing, a stealth strategy. So titanium extraction, production of fissionable materials, you begin to move these things a few tenths of a percentage point off their marks over periods of months and months, hoping that over 5 years, 6 years, you could back away from various forms of the abyss.
Oh, Lord.